In this episode, we speak with Ramyani Basu, senior partner at Kearney, where she drives technology and digital transformations across industries, including consumer goods and retail, financial institutions, energy, and process industries and engineering companies. With more than 2 decades of experience collaborating with businesses across various industries and regions, Ramyani uses the unique combination of technology, business acumen, and transformative strategies to deliver significant value for her clients. Ramyani also holds an important role in Kearney's European leadership team as a core member driving growth in the region. Additionally, she chairs the European Inclusion Council, where she is focused on ensuring that DEI efforts are truly delivering real change. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow.
RJ Lumba is the executive chairman of Market Insight Media and managing partner of GrowthCap. He is the host of Top Consultant, a podcast featuring today's best consultants who advise and provide services to corporations, governments, nonprofits, and other organizations. Executives and key decision makers tune in to Top Consultant to identify the most knowledgeable and experienced consultants for their most important projects.
Ramyani, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's a delight to be with you.
It's all my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, RJ.
We're going to get into your background and your expertise in consulting and technology in particular. Before we do that, tell us a little bit about what makes Kearney such a special place to work. It's been one of the top consulting firms for some time, and I think it's truly differentiated in the marketplace in terms of how corporate clients and other businesses perceive the value that the firm provides to them. So maybe we start off with Kearney and what makes it special.
That's a great question. If you think about Kearney and how we operate with our clients, we live what we call as the essential rightness of what it take for a client to be successful. So it's really about helping the client go through the challenges, but helping them, being there with them. We don't do consulting to them, we do consulting with them. The advisory support is very much about hand in hand, together, solve it with you, for you. That's the first one. The second one is because we are very independent, we are not tied to any SIs or a hyperscaler as such. Our advice is truly objective. We are not married to anybody else. So it's the client's success, our first and foremost priority. And the way our consultants operate is really, roll up your sleeves, get things done, be with the client till the end, and help them both the strategy of what they need to be going for, but making it real. This making it real is a very powerful thing in the world of consulting, because it's very easy to say what great looks like. It's very difficult to make that great happen. Mm-hmm. And that's what Kearney does. Mm-hmm. And that's why our repeat business is 96% and above. So once we are in, we are their trusted advisors. We genuinely provide what's right for them and make that come to life.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine it's very rewarding when you see one of your clients succeed, particularly on the heels of the advice that you provided to them. I've noticed you've advised many multi-billion-dollar conglomerates and large corporations. Maybe can you give us an example of an engagement you had which led to a really great outcome for the client?
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many to pick from, but let's pick up something from the financial services sector. So for a banking client, when we came in, there was a big question from the board. How are we leveraging the power of technology and data to drive real outcomes? To me, it's $1 million question, right? Like, are we or are we not? And if we are we doing really as best as we can? Now, in a banking sector, you expect people to be truly driving with digital data analytics at the forefront of what you do, whether it's customer or whether it's operations. Reality was far from that. And so what we had to do was bring to the fore that what is the art of possible you are missing if you're not being truly tech and data-led. Now, I would never say be tech and data-led forgetting business. Rather, how does this to enable bigger performance, better outcomes? We help the client, the CDO, Chief Data Officer, and the CEO help position this with a clear narrative of what should the future look like, what would that strategy need to be, and how would you tangibly make it happen? To the point of the tangibly making it happen, we actually help them show some real business value through the regulatory needs they have, through the risk, because think about financial institutions, they operate under a lot of regulation and risks. Those are clear value drivers. So with those, but also looked at and showed them the art of possible of how can they elevate revenue performance? How can they elevate more customer centricity? So it was a very comprehensive way that we helped define the narrative, because narrative is always very important. What is the story? Why will people buy into it? So the narrative to reality. So I call it vision to value, right? So we really have the banking client to go through that journey, help respond back to the board, but also elevate their performance across all these different dimensions. So I feel very, very proud of that. Has it been a very easy journey? Absolutely not, because it also required winning hearts and minds, right, in the journey. And what's fulfilling end of such a program is that I make a massive good friend out of the client, right? Like we are now personal friends. And I know they look up on us for any such big transformation programs, whether it's digital, data enabled or not, because they know the advice quality is high caliber and that we truly make it real.
And now, what other sectors do you work with beyond financial services?
I do work across, given, I have been in the firm for the last 16 years, and in a topic of technology, in a topic of digital and data, you essentially have so much cross-pollination possibility, right? I kind of work across sectors. So I work in healthcare industry. I also have worked quite a lot in the consumer industry. So that is very front-facing consumer side. I work also with chemicals and specialty chemicals. So you see, it's a lot of breadth. The commonality is of the four industries. I talked about three of them operate in regulated environment. So my understanding of the fact that regulations are critical to be abided by and how you use that to your advantage comes very much handy. And now the regulations are different in different industry, but it's the same construct of how clients need to think about it in a very serious way. So those are the industries I operate with.
And the technology that's top of mind for almost everyone, business and individual, is AI. And that's an area that you have specific expertise in. And in particular, demystifying AI. People think it's going to transform industries dramatically. Maybe it's overblown in some cases, or maybe it's something that's going to happen very gradually. Speaking to, for example, a corporate executive in the audience, what would you tell that person to be mindful of as they're looking to incorporate AI into their operations?
I have a slightly different angle than saying it will be gradual, RJ, or it will not disrupt industries. I'm a strong believer that while many like to believe it's a high and it will fade out, it is a reality in the making. It's the 1995 of the internet. And by that, what I mean is before internet became a stable way of operations, we never could think about a business operating completely in the internet world, right? The whole social media would have never existed if there was no internet. New businesses got created, new business models got created, new revenue models got created, new consumers got created. AI has that potential and even bigger. My personal belief and our core conviction as part of Kearney is that AI will disrupt every sector in a massive way. That's number one. Number two to me is that people are all in a rat race of, let's invest in AI because if I don't, am I going to be a laggard? And there is a FOMO effect people have, right? Those that are investing or those that are thinking of investing. Everybody is worried about it. Reality is where organizations are missing the mark is they are investing without thinking where is the future value of AI. They are looking at today's value from AI. And the reality is every sector, every industry is going to get so disrupted that you cannot do a linear line from today to tomorrow. It's not even aligned. So my urge to clients, and this is the conversation I'm having with clients, is think about a tomorrow back design, not a today forward design. That's number one. Number two, less is more. Don't invest in 50 projects because a reality is 45 of those are not even done properly. So it's a money wasted down the drain. Focus is important and non-optional. Less is more, right? The third thing is AI is not a tech transformation. It is a business transformation. It is a business capability. It requires us to reimagine how the business needs to operate tomorrow. And that reimagination is not a tech lens only. It's the entire reimagination of the business in tomorrow's world. So bringing it together, it's not a hype, it's a reality. Focus on what matters tomorrow than today, and truly reimagine the business capability that will be true, differentiated for you with AI. Otherwise, you're wasting money.
Mm-hmm.
At best, when I look at clients, they are not only value deflecting, they're value destroying today with AI. And no one is able to truly show that this is the X million dollars I've invested. This is the payback period of my AI investment. This is the ROI. No one can, because they are all rushing to win. And in that rush process, they are not focusing what matters.
Mm-hmm. As you're talking about the disruption that is occurring with AI, and say you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, there's multiple facets to your company, and AI can play a role in those different facets. It seems like a Herculean task to be able to figure out, where do I even begin? And you
Yeah.
mentioned, don't go after the 50 things, focus on, one project first, perhaps. How would you approach it with, a large corporation that maybe is feeling they're late to the game?
See, when you're feeling late to the game, then the focus becomes even more important. Focus on what truly will change the game. So the way we are helping organizations, multi-billion-dollar organizations, is whatever you have done, pause. Let's help you with the tomorrow backstory for the sector you are in and for what you have today that differentiates you in the marketplace. Every client has a different and a unique positioning in their marketplace. Now, say, for example, today you are winning because your supply chain is solid and resilient. Tomorrow, it might be your product innovation. So pouring a lot of money into supply chain is actually down the drain because supply chain will not be your differentiator. It's your product innovation. So that's where we say that pause, let's help you in the sector specific lens, number one, of value creation. Number two, let's absolutely help you choose the areas and the topics and the initiatives to go after. And let's help you make that real. I feel that gives more confidence to clients because they are bombarded by consulting firms asking them to put a lot of money. They're bombarded by SIs, system integrators. They are bombarded by hyperscalers like the AWS and the Azures of the world. And they are bombarded by different technology players. They don't know. And it's like created more chaos and confusion than clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And where we take the discussion is, let's pause, stop. In the world of AI, pivoting, streamlining, stopping are all good verbs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about running. It's not about speed unless you have scaled value. And it's not also about scale if you're not focusing on the right value.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the lens we take.
And talk to us a little bit about your leadership position. We'll take it from 2 points of view. One is leading in front of the marketplace and then leading internally within the organization. But leading in the marketplace, how do you differentiate what Kearney provides versus other consulting firms, major consulting firms in the market?
I think we differentiate. So let's take the market first. We differentiate with this lens of focus and value creation and helping organizations see through where to go and why to do that. That's our differentiation. Our differentiation is not on these are the 30, 40, 50 use cases for supply chain, or these are the 50 use cases for marketing and sales. It's not our differentiation. Do we have it? We absolutely have it, but we take the CEO back lens on that value focus. So that's number one. We call it the value migration philosophy. How will AI drive that? And that's really creating wave because clients love this as a fresh perspective. They're only hearing about a lot of money needs to be plugged in. We are saying don't plug in money, right? We are saying stop everything, focus, and then plug in. So that's going really well. That's number one. And your question on internal leadership. This is very true to what Kearney stands for. We are always about give the right advice, to my initial point about essential rightness, give the right advice to our clients, even though it's a hard pill to swallow. So in the internal lens, this is really about helping our partners in different industries and sectors and services, because we also have services like strategic operations, like strategy growth and organization transformation, because the future of helping a client on AI is a combination of bringing strategy, growth, organization transformation, AI, supply chain, procurement, everything together, but at a sector lens and a client lens. So we're enabling the whole of the sales force, our partners and principals on this story, and it's really resonating, and we're going to market together. So it feels very positive about how we are thinking about AI and how we are differentiating in the marketplace on AI.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of your colleagues or potentially others in the consulting industry, you've risen to, a very senior position within your firm. What advice would you give to others in the consulting world seeking to rise to kind of higher levels?
I think consulting is a very high expectation industry. Nothing mediocre sells. And you got to have the passion to do it. You got to have the energy to live by it. But you also need to see the fulfillment it comes when you give an advice that really lands with clients and that builds so intentional but amazing relationships. I don't think consulting is for everybody, and there is nothing wrong about it. But I actually believe that, what I have done in my career is I have led with passion. I stuck to what I really loved, which is technology always inspires me. And I've created my own pathway of success. It is not a defined pathway of success as such. And in Kearney, I have always seen people who are successful have created their own paths. You can't copy somebody's path. It has to be yours. It has to have your blood mark. Let's put it that way. So, but you have to want it. And you have to have the passion to see through it. I would also add one last thing. It's that don't live up to other standards, because I'm also a mom and family matters to me more than my work. And I live by that. And that means compromises. But I also see that it also shows role modeling for my girl.
Excellent. Okay. Last two questions. One is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
That would be my mom. My mom, she's no more. She was double PhD. In her times back at India, those days, even a one PhD is massive. She was double PhD. She was a professor in a university, and she had extremely high standards. And I don't think I've ever met her standards of expectation. So, there's a saying, right? If you shoot for Mars, you land in Moon. She always made me shoot for Mars, and I only ended up landing in Moon, but that's already better than being in the ground. Mm-hmm. So she was inspirational in many ways. But what really stood out for me is that she was a big believer that hard work and passion are both needed to be successful. So her push was, don't do what you're not passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, work so hard that it hurts. Mm-hmm. In those days when she told me all of that, none of that mattered. I thought that I don't like to put hard work, right? But as you get older, you get wiser, and those words actually come to life. So as I said, I don't do things that I'm not passionate about. And I think I choose those passion areas and I go all in. So yeah, so that's one thing that always stood out for me with her passion and her hard work. And the second thing she always said was, it's your life and it's one life. So make it really count. Again, didn't mean anything to me when she said that. And hence all my choices around my family, around my girl, around my work, everything has to tie in. It's like the ikigai, right? Mm-hmm. It all needs to come together. It can't be one or the other. It's all of it together.
Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
Yes. I have been very close to this whole charitable cause quite early on when even I was an engineering student. But recently, I have got very much inspired by one of my clients whose wife runs this charity about helping rural Indian women and girls, specifically girls whose parents can't think about their education. So, how do we fund that charitable cause in a way that every girl gets education? I genuinely think it's so powerful to have girls that ability that the level you need to provide them the right level field to play. And if they don't have the education, how can that be a level field? It's not, right? So you're starting in with your back foot, and that doesn't make sense. So that's one charitable cause that I am pushing hard on. The second one is also linked to the UK, which is also about girls and women. And, I have been a big DEI champion. That's with UN Women. They have this whole, how do you build confidence for young girls and young women so they come into the world of work with that confidence? And for me, RJ, it took me time to build that confidence when I came to this country. So I know the hard work that needs to be put behind it. So, those are the two kind of, it's all goes back to, again, what matters to my heart. This matters to my heart. I don't want to do other charity. That is not close to my heart because I would not make time for it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two things that I'm very passionate about. And I do whatever I can. I don't do a lot. I can't do a lot, but I do as much as I can.
Well, Ramyani, want to thank you again for taking the time for this conversation. This has been a wonderful one.
Thank you so much, RJ, for having me. And it was a wonderful conversation, talking about all the different topics we touched on.